The 2012 Santos Tour Down Under has had it all.
Andre wins it for Lotto.
Oh, there's a big crash.
Mass pile up there and dust all over the place. Greipel comes clear. He has taken the stage.
In the crowd, they realise they've witnessed something extremely special.
Andre Greipel is going to get this by the skin of his racing tyre. Oscar Freira's got on the right of our picture. Freira gets it.
Stage 5 then delivered everything expected at Old Wollonga Hill. The first climb shocked the big names and had the fans cheering.
Listen to the crowd now. They're driving an Australian here, just like they did to William Clark at Stirling. It's a terrific show of defiance by this man.
He's riding with his guts right now, with his stomach. He's putting it all on the line. And look at the men who are in this. These are great stars of the Tour de France.
Exactly. They're probably riding and suffering. He's saying, who on earth is this kid we can't catch?
We are probably touching very close to 100 kilometres an hour downhill.
The courageous young Aussie was finally caught and the stage was set.
Valverde is right by, and Simon Gerrans, I noted, has taken Valverde's wheel. We still have to go left around this corner. Valverde has got him on the edge here. This was the story. Alessandro Valverde takes it on the line. He beats Simon Gerrans. Oh, what an incredible return.
But it's the Australian who will be wearing the ochre jersey heading into the final day.
He's a classy rider, and I'm going to have my work cut out for me tomorrow, but I don't know who's got this Tour Down Under until we cross the finish line.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Epic Cycle Series presented by Michelob Ultra. I'm Phil Liggett and joined as always by Paul Sherwin. It's the last day of the Santos Tour Down Under 6-day cycle race. It finishes in the state capital of Adelaide here in South Australia. The weather is set to burst the seams today and go over 100 degrees Fahrenheit as it goes 20 times around a 4.5 kilometre circuit, and two riders, Paul, are locked together equal on time.
That's going to make a big battle. There are a lot of time bonuses available out on the course, but there are also a lot of very big sprinters in this bike race who believe that they can win this final stage, stage 6, on the streets of Adelaide.
Now this is how the race can be won now. There are two sprint bonuses along the way, giving those small 3, 2, 1 second time bonuses. At the finish, the winner will gain 10 seconds, 6 and 4 for second and third. And when you think that all these riders are equal, and this is the situation, Gerrans Valverde, same time. Thiago Machado is at 8 seconds. Michael Rogers is at 14. Quite frankly, any of the riders on our screen, if the coins dropped in the right order, could win this race now. This is the start line as they face up to those 20 circuits. It is very, very hot here, and the riders themselves are planning on making it even hotter. Let's talk to some of the riders.
No, for Lotto Bellaso, it doesn't make a real difference, to be honest. We're not going to contest any of the intermediates, and we're just going to line up Andre for the final.
We're going all out today for, obviously, Adelaide versus Hagen to win the last stage and hopefully get the young rider's jersey. And, you know, he could, if he wins the stage, he could move up onto the podium.
Well, we're looking down from the helicopter now, the final stage of the Santos Tour Down Under, which has captured the hearts and the imagination of all of Australia, not just the South Australians now. Let's take ourselves around a very familiar route to wrap this race up. It's a 90-kilometre circuit, and it is 4.5 kilometres around, just around 3 miles a trip. And we'll get used to it. The hill comes on Montefiore Hill, which is a drag, but it could, well, it will decide the King of the Mountains competition from Skoda as we continue to go along the banks of the Torrens, which runs through the centre of the city here. Then the sharp left turn as they come on up King William Road, absolutely crucial for the sprinters to judge it to perfection. There's that beautiful view of the central business district of Adelaide, as we make ready now to fire the gun. Very tense moment. Two riders go into this race at 0 time after a week of racing. Simon Gerrans wears the ochre jersey as leader on countback on his positions as Luke Durbridge gets off a big pushy start there for the Green Edge boys. This is going to be full of action, Paul, because Simon Gerrans wants this win over yesterday's winner, Alejandro Valverde. That is Gorka Izagirre, who is trying to get clear now. Now that's interesting, Paul. A climber from the heart of the Pyrenees in Spain on the flat roads of Adelaide.
Well, it's an aggressive team, and interesting to note that Cam Meyer is the man who's gone up there this time for Green Edge, and now we've got a four-man breakaway, and just sitting on the back there is still a rider from Vacansoleil. I haven't managed to ID him just yet, but I wonder if Thomas de Kent is not Thomas de Kent on this occasion, but they are making sure they keep themselves present in the attacks.
Most of the work, as soon as any sense of the pace slowing down, it's the Green Edge riders up here. We've got last year's overall winner, who wasn't on Team Green Edge, of course, last year, Cameron Meyer, and Luke Durbridge. Meyer is on the front now, and then Durbridge has come through on the right. They look pretty similar, except Durbridge clearly a much bigger man.
In the black jersey, Radio Shack Nissan Trek, that's Jens Voigt. He loves to attack, but look at the damage that's being done. This breakaway a few moments ago, we're just up to around about the 30-second advantage, and now because of the pressure coming from Team Rabobank, they are dragging this race back together once again.
All of a sudden it's back in and heads down. Valverde needs 1 second, remember. Gerrans will get very twitchy. He didn't want this to happen. He doesn't want this race to be brought back. He would be very happy if they stayed away to end. That's why his two teammates here continue to drive this train.
It is a complicated day for Green Edge, and Alejandro Valverde, Phil, he's actually in a much better situation. He's a lot more relaxed. He can sit back and wait to see if the opportunity presents itself for him to nick out of the bunch and get himself a 3, 2 or 1 second time bonus. He's leaving all the pressure of doing the racing to the other teams in this bike race this afternoon, and it looked to me, I might be wrong, but it looked to me as if that might have been Michael Matthews coming across the gap.
I think it was. He just jumped on and he has. There he is. He's come across on his own. I think it's Chris Sutton leading 4 more riders across the gap. You know, they might strengthen that breakaway and go away again.
But if I'm not mistaken, I think the ochre jersey's come across as well.
Yes, he has. Yes, he has. 4th man from the back. Gerrans has got on there. Well, I never thought of that combination. If Gerrans got a small bonus, then I think that would be curtains for the rest of the race as far as Valverde is concerned.
But look at the length of that main field. The pressure is on. The heat is on here this afternoon in Adelaide as we circumnavigate Montefiore Hill and, of course, the very famous Adelaide Oval. These guys are looking over their shoulders now saying, wow, what's happened? Where did all of this come from here this afternoon? As the whole of the main field comes back together. And again, the accelerations coming thick and fast.
That was Luke Durbridge, who saw them on and went again, chasing over the top. I think a Lamprey rider has broken here and gone clear, and he's chased by Durbridge, and look at the gap they've opened here.
Very quickly, very smartly indeed, and that's because of the pressure that was on this race, and everybody was happy to have a little bit of time out once they saw the main field coming back together here, so they may well just allow these riders a little bit of freedom into the finishing straight. This is the final bend as he looks up in front of him. Right up at the top there is the finishing line to the end of lap 8 and the Jayco sprint point. These guys, as you said, Phil, they're not concerned about the Jayco sprint competition. They don't really have any interest in that at all, but for the man who is leading of these two riders there, Luke Durbridge, he wants to make sure that he steals away the time bonuses that are available here in King William Road.
36 kilometres covered when we hit the Jayco finishing line this time. And I don't think Durbridge is even going to bother, but he better think about it because there's a lot of legs coming up on the right of our picture here, but he's safely through. Chimele Durbridge, let's have a look who's gone through in 3rd place there. As they start to grab the bidons or the bottles through and Chimele just checking here on who might be coming across.
Well, there's 4 or 5 right. I think you won't believe this, Phil, but I've got a funny sneaking feeling that the man that got that 3rd place finish coming through there was in fact Jens Voigt himself.
But he was certainly involved in the sprint, and it wasn't Valverde, so that's the good news. And Gert Stegmans is the rider who was alongside, and Gert is a fast finisher.
Very nice move by Garmin Barracuda, because Jack Bauer is only looking for 36 seconds in the overall standings. That will keep the pressure on this bike race right away.
Yes, indeed, and Jack Bauer is being looked up to by all of the New Zealand people because Jack is developing very, very nicely into being their top rider. He'll be looking forward to the Olympic Games this year. The result of the sprint was confirmed that the third place rider was in fact Jack Bauer. Well, I didn't see him in that sprint, but we didn't really see the sprint, did we?
No,
that's
really.
all right though. Jack took the third place and a 1 second time bonus. This is Jan Bakelants. Had a very good tour this week, Jan Bakelants, as he rides Team Radio Shack Nissan Trek. It's a Luxembourg-based team, and he slipped away. I think this is the first time we've had a lone attacker.
And a man who is very dangerous in the overall standing, because Bakelants is in fact only 19 seconds off the overall lead.
He's doing very, very well. This now is Cam Meyer, and he's off like a scalded cat, and he'll take the second place bonuses. That's another score for Green Edge. You're watching the Epic Cycle Series presented by Michelob Ultra.
Number 91 is the man who everybody will be looking at, especially if you're wearing a Green Edge jersey. Look at that, Phil. On his wheel there, number 2 is Robbie McEwen. Now, that is a tactic. McEwen will follow Alejandro Valverde all around this lap. He knows that at the end of this lap, there is still a third-place finish available for that sprint point. And if he sees any movement come from Alejandro Valverde, you watch out for Robbie McEwen, because he'll try and nick him on the line. Well, we had mentioned at the start of the day it was quite possible mathematically for at least 6 riders to win this bike race overall. And Jan Bakelants was not one of the names mentioned, but he could be pulling himself up with a performance like this. And if he is very, very good, he could pull himself up to get himself a place on the podium. And that will be noticed by all of the other teams. I don't think he'd like to steal away the place on the podium, because in fact the third place finisher at the moment is his own teammate Tiago Machado from Radio Shack, who did a phenomenal ride yesterday.
Cam Meyer gets the second place bonus. We're going to see a sprint Oi for third place.
This is a big acceleration coming up to the line, and it's
I think it's Heinrich Hausler who may have stolen that one. No, look at his face, it's not.
I think it's Haas.
I'm not sure it is, but anyway, it's the same team. It is on Garmin Cervelo, Garmin Barracuda as it's called now, as they go around that corner. In fact, that was Jack Bauer. Yeah, again. I'm quite sure this is the calm before the storm, because they can't allow this breakaway to gain any more time.
Well, that's interesting to note that Michael Matthews, Bling as they call him, is doing the pacemaking on the front, because the name that rippled to the top of favourites to win a bunch sprint on this final stage of the Santos Tour Down Under this morning, Phil, amongst most of the riders and many members of the press, was Mark Renshaw. Now, Renshaw has moved across from what was the former team HTC. He was a great lead-out man for the British rider Mark Cavendish in the big races like the Tour de France. He's now decided he wants to try and win for himself. He's obviously given the nod to Team Rabobank as we go over the top of the final Skoda King of the Mountains point. Just getting there, Cam Meyer ahead of Sicard, and in third place, Bakelants.
Quite a routine finish. They weren't really interested in it, and they continue on now. 3 riders are clear, and at the moment Green Edge have lost the edge because a new leader is on the road in Jan Bakelants. But will he stay away? Nine kilometers to go, Paul.
I think if these 3 wanted to survive, they would need to cross this finishing line now with a gap of in excess of a minute. And looking back down that finishing straight, when we come to the line, I think it's only going to be 30 seconds.
Well, if it's 30 seconds, it needs to be wipe out with a lap to go. The sprinters would have the day. That would be the perfect scenario right now. There is the peloton. They've got them in sight. They're not coming back fast enough as far as Cam Meyer is concerned. And there's no more drinks, is there? There are just 1 or 2 drinks. They're getting to the point now where they'll stop all of this drink giving up at this point.
I think it was 22 seconds on the line for the main field. You see, the professionals are judging it right down to perfection. Ochre jersey there on the shoulders of Simon Gerrans. He's looking towards the front of this race. He's looking at his teammates, allowing them to do all of the pacemaking. He's counting away the laps now, but I keep looking to see where is Alejandro Valverde. You look out for the lime green helmets. That's Movistar from Spain. They're the guys who could create the surprise on the last day of this race, in the last sprint, on the last kilometre of 6 days of racing.
The sprinters teams have taken over. There's number 4. He is the leader, Simon Gerrans. He's being protected by Lee Howard and Matt Goss. They're riding near him, keeping out of trouble. And the red number in front, Stuart O'Grady. It's red because he was voted the most aggressive rider in the breakaway yesterday. They're surrounding their leader to try and keep him clean now. Inside 9 kilometres to his victory, but they will not get that victory if they don't close this gap down by a few more seconds.
That's the precarious thing that they have to do. They've played together. Well, look at this now. You see Cameron Meyer, Phil,
gone back to lead the charge,
by the team, get back to the main field because we do need
he has. He's gone the other way. He's jumped him.
Well, that's amazing.
Well, that's a tactic. If this works out for Green Edge, I take my hat off to them, because they've not just defended for Gerrans, they're trying to win the race as well. We haven't won a stage for Green Edge yet. Meyer has gone away on his own. He's dropped. Well, I'm sorry we missed the attack, because it must have been very special on the climb.
Well, I tell you what, you turn your face away for 1 second away from the television screen, and all of a sudden we've got a brand new story going on here, because Cam Meyer, all of a sudden, defending champion, has leapt out of the pack. He's taken Bakerlands by surprise, but there is the storming main field, and I'll tell you one thing, you won't let Green Edge chase this one down.
The storming main field has just handed back the race to Simon Gerrans, because they are together and they continue now to wipe out. This is most interesting. Just hanging off the front is Bakerlands. It's all over though. He'll be back in the field imminently. The crowd are beating the boards to death now as Meyer gets the bell here. And how fitting is this? Last year's winner of this race overall takes them into the last lap of this year's edition. He heads up to the full turn. He's hurting himself. He's got the legs. He's trying to hold off the whole field now.
Well, as he goes round the top, the bell, I can just hear not too far away from the commentary box, Phil, there, is going out for the front end of the main field. That gap, it's about 15 seconds. It will be precarious, and Alessandro Pataki has got his men up to the front end of the field. I noticed Jose Joaquim Rojas was there without Alejandro Valverde. This is the final lap. This is the big sprint, the penultimate time that these guys, the last time these guys will go out on this course here this afternoon, and now the chase is on in earnest. Daniele Benati moving up there for Radio Shack, Nissan Trek. The big sprint is on.
There's the swamping of Cameron Meyer, but what a gutsy effort that was. Now it is the sprinters who have their day, and if Alejandro Valverde finishes in the first 3 and Gerrans is behind him, Gerrans will lose the tour at the very last sprint. But the other side of the coin is the real sprinters of this race are licking their lips, and this is the team now of Andre Greipel, who goes round the corner in 4th position. He's lining up. The gorilla is about to go on the march again. But can Andre deliver? He showed us he could at Tanunda. Rather not at Tanunda. That was where we saw the victory of Oscar Freire. He delivered in the opening stage, though. 2 wins so far. There's an attack by Sky moving up on the outside of the road here. And this is a kick very early on by Sky. Looks across to see who's taking him on as the sprint starts now. Greipel has got it though. He just makes it all so easy. Mark Renshaw is second. Alessandro Pataki is third. The gorilla roars again. He takes it right on the line. He can't believe it. He's lost it in 2 days. He lost 24 minutes. He doesn't like the mountains, but when the road suits him, he just goes over and crushes his opposition. Well, let's have a look at how it was won here. It was a perfect lead out again by the Lotto squad. They've done it before this week and they're at it again. A challenge coming in from Team Sky, but it wasn't going to be quick enough here, because look at the speed of Greipel. There is nobody near him when it comes to it, and he's beating some of the fastest finishers in the world by a long way. He's got the better of Mark Renshaw there and Alessandro Pataki, 2 of the best finishers. But for Andre Greipel, this is a very pleasing result for him. Another win in the Tour Down Under. Let's hear from him now.
Andre, you're looking very lean and mean this year, but I have to say you made that sprint look very, very easy.
What can I say? I think the team was just amazing what they did there. I thought it will be very too early that we hit the front, but yeah, I'm just happy for the guys and for myself to finish it off here at the Tour Down Under.
Well, 63 riders sprinted it out in the same time as Andre Greipel, coming in ahead of Renshaw, Pataki, Hutrovic, Rojas, Bosenhagen, Feliu. They really are the best finishers in the world there, and he beat the lot quite easily. Massive crowd enjoying this final day in really warm conditions. Andre Greipel proud of his Lotto Belisol team, especially by the way they've looked after him over this 6 days of racing. Just looking through the stage very quickly, it all began with the early attacks here. It was always Green Edge marking the moves at the front, and when Jack Bekelons broke away, he was chased down in the end by Cameron Meyer. For a while, it looked as though Bekelons was going to do a ride that would give him the overall win. Cam Meyer was dispatched to bring him back to the fold. He caught him, dropped him, and he raced on alone, but he too was swept up as the sprinters rode into their race in the rush for the line. But the winner of the Tour is Simon Gerrans, and here he is now talking with Paul Sherwin.
Well, Simon, not exactly the ideal way to go into the final day of racing, exactly the same time as Alejandro Valverde, but you've done good.
Yeah, that's just fantastic. I really can't thank my teammates at Green Edge enough for all the support this week. We had a tough task today, keeping a check on Alejandro Valverde, such a classy rider, and had a great win yesterday, but we had the better win today, so I'm really happy.
They marshalled every move, and this is the final result. Simon Gerrans in the same time, but better on countback than Alejandro Valverde. Tiago Machado from Portugal and Radio Shack in third place. No change in the end. Simon Gerrans, 6 years apart, now wins this race for a second time, but this one was very special for him. It has launched the All-Australian Green Edge team into the World Tour and finally into the Tour de France. That wraps it up for this year's Santos Tour Down Under here in Australia, but this is just the beginning of the cycling coverage that the NBC Sports Network has in store for you this season. For a full cycling schedule, log on to our website at nbcsports.com. For Paul Sherwin, I'm Phil Liggett saying so long for now.